Hi, this is Emily Leiphart of Art from the Heart, and I'm super excited to welcome you to my video hop celebrating 100 videos and 2,500 YouTube subscribers. I reached these numbers last month, and I wanted to throw a celebration to let you all know how much I appreciate your support. I'm truly honored to have so many amazing friends and sponsors joining me today. For my card, I'll be combining several Paper Smoochers products, including Spiffy scooters and scooter icons. Riding the scooters will be the cat and dog from Chubby Chums and Chums icons. For the sentiment, I'll be combining Spiritual Sampler with one of the brand new Religious Words dies. I start by stamping all the images on their respective die cuts. Before stamping the dog, I'm going to use washi tape to mask off the front paws since he'll be sitting behind the handlebars of the scooter. I want him to have his paws up on the handles, so I'll stamp those separately, cut them out, and adhere them on the front of the scooter. I use my tweezers to remove the washi tape bits, and it's surprising how strong they are since the washi tape is stuck onto the stamp quite well. Then I stamp the dog without its front paws. I stamp the dog again on a piece of scrap cardstock so I can cut out its arms later. Now I'll repeat that same process with the cat. After all of the images are stamped, it's time to color. I'm using warm grays on the cat. I shade her body lighter than the ears and feet. I also have to remember to color in the front paws that were stamped separately. Next, I move on to the dog, which I'm coloring with warm browns. Just like with the cat, I color the body lighter than the feet. I'm going to shade both sets of eyes using neutral grays and a colorless blender. Now I'll use pinks to color in the cat's nose and the dog's tongue. It's time to trim out the front paws. Once again, I'm going to speed up the fussy cutting 20 times so you don't fall asleep. I also know that you're excited to watch the next video, so I'm going to keep this as short as possible. Moving on, I color in the scooters using neutral grays. This will be the common color since the scooters are the anchors of the card. Now I'm going to add some color, starting with yellow lights. I was happy to see that my Lilac gold marker was working fine today after that explosion on my pirate card last week. I certainly wish I did, but I don't always have cards completely planned out in my head. In this case, I knew what images and sentiment I wanted to use, but I didn't know what colors I'd be using. I tend to pick colors as I go along. Sometimes they end up looking terrible and I have to start again, but that's part of the fun in creating. All of my coloring is done, so I can move on to arranging the pieces on my card. I've cut an A2 card base from white linen cardstock from Ellen Hudson. I'm so addicted to this stuff. I must have used it on 30 to 40% of last month's cards. If I'm making a mostly white card, it's hard not to reach for it. The top panel is slate gray cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, my favorite dark gray cardstock. It's dark enough to allow colors to pop off it, but not so dark that it looks dreary. I arranged the animals and their scooters on the panel to determine if I have enough space for the sentiment as I've planned it in my head. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and adhere the animals to the scooters, then attach their paws to the front. That way I only have 2 pieces to deal with rather than 8. I play around with the placement of the paws. They look a bit odd so far down and out on the handlebars, so I'm just going to have them holding onto the big headlight. I use score tape to attach the animals to their scooters. I love that their hips could be hidden behind the handlebars. It's like they were meant to ride these scooters, and they look so cute going on a joyride together. I've die cut the blessed word 3 times from Basil heavyweight cardstock in gold coins. I love that name, and the color coordinates perfectly with the lights on the scooters. I'm going to use matte multimedium to adhere the layers together. As you know, I used to use my Zig glue pen a lot. Then I moved on to glossy accents, as well as the Xyron sticker maker. I thought I'd give the multimedium a try and see how I like it. In the past, I've used multimedium to create custom curls in my string bows, but I thought I'd use it more as an adhesive and see how I like it. Since the word is die cut in 3 parts, I have to use the negative to make sure the letters are in their original positions on the card. Now that I have the general layout ready, I'm going to cut apart the sentiment from Spiritual Sampler that says, "I feel so blessed to have you in my life." Essentially, I'm replacing the stamped word with the die cut, so I only need the top and bottom lines. Instead of going through the trouble of masking, I'm going to cut them away from the scripted word. That way I can arrange them around the die cut and stamp them at the same time. Once the words are arranged exactly how I want them, I pick them up with my acrylic block and prepare to stamp and heat emboss them. I use my embossing bag to eliminate stray specks, stamp the sentiment, apply white embossing powder, and heat set it. Now I'm going to adhere the panel directly onto the card base. Using the negative of the cardstock worked earlier, but now that the other parts of the sentiment are stamped, I can't see through the cardstock to see where the die cut would be relative to the stamped words. I recut the word from vellum so that I can see its exact position. Once again, I use matte multimedium as an adhesive. I have a bit of trouble removing the vellum and the single S is pulled off, but since I can see where it used to sit, it's not a problem to place it back in the same spot. I just have to grab my tweezers to get a tiny sliver of vellum stuck inside the letter E. I've placed an acrylic block on the die cut word to hold it down while the adhesive dries. Now I'm adding foam tape to the back of the images. I make sure the scooters are perfectly lined up with each other, as well as having equal distance on either side of the card. This leaves more space to the left of the cat than to the right of the dog because of his tail, so I'm going to add a couple of small enamel hearts to fill in that space. I don't have the right shade of red, so I'm going to use a Copic marker to color over them. I love using Copic markers to customize embellishments. I use an X-Acto knife to lift the enamel hearts off the sheet and place them on my card. Now my card is done. Please refer to the supply links below if you're interested in any of the products I used in this video. You can also visit my blog for stills and more information about my work. The next video on this hop is by Julie Ebersole and you're in for a real treat. You can find the link to her fabulous video in the description below. Be sure to subscribe, like, and leave a comment on every video along the way for your chance to win one of 8 gift certificates from your favorite stores and stamp manufacturers. All of the details for this video hop are on my blog and you can find that link below as well. Thank you so much for watching and hopping with us today.